And we are off and running.
And I know we have Sir Dan Fulgrim is number 1 at the helm. I think it would be a lot of fun to have a first prize. But the problem is you can't always tell exactly who's first. Somebody could come in third and it looked like they were first. So it's a pain. But congratulations, Dan. It's great to have you. K-Heads, good to see you. Sir Martine, hello, hello, hello. Robbie in the chat. Robbie has been busy helping me out with some projects, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did see that we had the same amount of people showing up, and all of them had thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for thumbing up and all the support. It's just awesome to see all you guys. Christine Love, Susan Donahue. Good times. Vildan, great to see you. Send Havoc, welcome as always. Jason and Oz and Regina. Second time today, we'll say hello. Loretta, did you miss the breaking news? Nope. We got a whole bunch of things lined up. There's a lot going on, as is the usual. Ray's in the house. Marxist Cesarni, hello. Quintress, great to see you over there in DC.
Good to see you guys. Oh my gosh, and all the hearts and all the thumbs up. And thank you so much, Jen and the Birds, for adding that, because you can help us out over there on Ko-Fi by buying us coffees, and you just hit the number of coffees. So that's, hello there, Miss Norman. Good to see you guys and everybody in the house. So yes, all right, you guys. Yeah, no, you didn't miss any breaking news. We're just kind of saying hello and getting a feel for the room, but some crazy stuff going on for sure. Yeah, disclose. Sure, right. Good. I know, Robbie.
I like that.
I know. Leave it to Robbie. Sure. He's always going to give us something fun in the house. You're always making somebody laugh.
Yeah. No, sinuses are good. Just it's one of those days where the humidity and the heat is like so much. And, here in the South, you got to get your chores done early. So go outside, did some planting, did some, homesteading type work, absolutely drenched in sweat, had to take a shower, then worked out, met another shower, and then we had clients. So it's just been crazy busy, crazy busy. There's a lot going on out there. And what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, Christine, you just pulled up to your favorite farm store in Shelton to get eggs. Would that be Jones Farm? I'm curious, because that's where we used to go back in the day, up to Shelton. I remember that area so well, the hills and everything. In fact, my sister is there in Shelton, and a niece as well. Jen and the Birds in the house. Yeah, exactly. You got to get up at like 6 a.m. Well, we usually do get up 5 to 6, somewhere in that area. But then we have to go through evolutionary work, get that rolling first, and then go into the homesteading stuff after.
Yeah, there's a certain window that you got to do stuff. You have to get the gears moving in the brain. So we get up and, try to do the mundane things first, which there is a lot of, replying to emails, replying to things. And, we have our scheduling, we have our mantras and meditation, and we keep steady. And the problem right now is we like to do our mundane things in the morning. And then, gosh, today by 9 o'clock, it was hot. It was already just roasting. It was stifling out there. So, it's always a little adjustment here, a little adjustment there. But hey, those are the small things that we have to complain about. And I will take it, because there's a lot that could go wrong out in this world.
This was a Patreon and members exclusive on YT. So this was, I believe, the first thing we did today. And so, covering the breaking news, let's start over here. Paul White, Gold Eagle. He's reporting, and we've heard about this from multiple of you guys. One of the largest medical supply distributions or distributors is in flames. Massive, massive fire here. I mean, literally, it's like blocks. This is in California, Tracy, California. I think Cindy had said she'd been through Tracy, California. Fire is at the Medline warehouse, one of the largest medical supply distributors. Ships products to hospitals and healthcare facilities across the country. Multiple agencies working to get it under control. I mean, look at the size of this. It was just enormous.
That's really, really strange. And I'm just getting notices that like the live is not showing up in certain feed. So yeah, fires, and just a lot of chaos too.
Yeah, fires and chaos, fires. It's just, again, all the basic stuff, energy related. Inflation's going to be just constantly heading up, up, up. Can you see the size of this fire? It's going to just keep going through the roof. Polish Psychic was on last night. And again, he was reiterating that in many places, specifically, he was looking more towards Europe, but I'm sure it's going to affect us too. The fact that the war is going to ramp up, unfortunately, will equate to a lot more basic goods going way, way higher in price. And it's just already gotten to be unaffordable for so many. We did have a little bumpy ride there in the Schumann, as we had quite a peaceful patch of time there, and then it's starting to show some signs, as you see here, SOS 70. So it's just par for the course. Everything is about the unraveling of the old system and the understanding that our reality has never been exactly what they were making it to be. Here we have one dead, hundreds of thousands without power after tornadoes and severe storms hit the Midwest and the Northeast. Severe storms produced damaging tornadoes outside Chicago, killed one person in Iowa, and damaged communities in Illinois and Indiana, left hundreds of thousands without power. Again, the storms, they just seem to be constantly increasing. And this is something, again, it's not just here in the U.S. The South Fork fire grows to 23,000 plus acres in Nebraska. Nebraska's been burning for a while. Again, some areas are in very, very severe drought, and the other areas are getting washed away. And then we had a major explosion recorded at Stromboli volcano. Stromboli is very, very active, but still everything is moving right along, and it just seems like it keeps going up another level.
Yeah. Just stuff is just getting worse all the way across the board. Things are getting. I'm sure you guys can feel the squeeze, and I just want to say, thank you to Robbie. I do not understand the stuff in chat. I really, really don't. But whatever you fixed, thank you for fixing it. That's important because we need to see when people are being rotten. And I think last chat somebody was rotten, and we just couldn't see it until it was done. So thank you so much. Very important, and everything is just sort of upside down and backwards right now. People are struggling in ways, and people are having more, I think, of a grocery store shock lately. That's huge, not to mention all the other huge things that we're talking about right now. I mean, just going to the store and buying milk right now is tough for a lot of people. So yeah, this is a time where we really have to just stand back and look and see, okay, what do I really need? We can look on the bright side of it. I mean, this does help us in a way to kind of pare things down and make sure that we are getting what we truly need. And in that sense, it's good. But, there's just no reason. This world has so much abundance. There's no reason people should go without anything.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we can easily have plenty. It's just really, again, about the system that's in place, as it's always been kind of adversarial to sharing. Yeah. NASA scientists just found a strange radio signal coming from the sun for 19 days continuous that hadn't happened before. Well, the sun is going into an all new place. Again, it's the turning of the yugas. And I do think the sun is, well, it's a relay from source, from the creator. It's something that ties us all together. We certainly couldn't live in these realms, use that term cautiously there, because without it, I mean, it just brings life. It's the giver of light and life. And yet, I don't think that what they've given us with science is exactly accurate in some respects to the sun. Again, it's putting off all the building blocks of life every single day.
Sun is so important, and I really loved when I was learning about biofield tuning, talking about the fourth state of matter and realizing that my body was that fourth state of matter. And it's just our cells are moving so slow, but they are always constantly moving. That's key. And every time you realign yourself, you realign each and every single little cell just a tiny, tiny bit, which puts you a little bit closer into alignment than you were the time before. So alignment, tuning forks, I love them. It's like dolphins use sonar, and that's how I use the tuning forks, because I strike the fork, put it next to your body or your 4D body, because I work from a distance, and then I listen to hear what's coming back, very much like a dolphin. And in that way, I can hear things. I can hear stories in the energy field, and with those stories, I know where to make corrections. And I tell you what, it's been such a blessing to be able to work on so many people all these years. And right now, we're just working on, how do we teach other people to do what we do, because it's so individualized with every person.
Mm-hmm. So I see you guys were talking about David Devine, Sent Havoc, was talking about him, and he said that mid-June will be when you start to get some serious sticker shock. Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. This goes on to, this is somebody that's known as NMSI subquantum physics, saying a persistent radio signal from the sun lasting 19 days is definitely unusual, but it doesn't necessarily mean something mysterious or necessarily artificial. The sun is a gigantic plasma oscillator. Long-duration coherent radio emissions can appear when magnetic loops remain stable for extended periods, plasma structures become phase-locked, or large coronal regions enter synchronized or oscillatory states. From the NMSI perspective, the interesting part is not the signal itself, but the coherence, persistence. I think, again, here we look at things. Everything is always tainted with what we're brought up with, what we're indoctrinated with, the science that we're given, which, again, I think in some cases it's absolutely backwards or upside down in some cases, inside out in other cases. I think one of the things that's never said in Western science is that the reality for the dimension that we find ourselves in is really all about what's happening on the dimension above it, in frequency. It's a top-down system. So the higher densities, the higher realms, the higher frequency environments are creating the conditions for the reality below them. And yet the reality that we go through here also affects those on higher dimensions. So everything is interrelated. I don't think there's, I think what we look at is randomness and just, chaos. There's never really chaos. There's organization everywhere, and everything has a purpose.
There's order. There's an order that you there's an organized chaos when it comes to us, when it comes to humans, the planet, and animals. And things might look really messy at times, especially with humans, our emotions, our reactions, the way we do things. But in our messiness comes a certain particular divine order of the cosmos that is just inexplicably beautiful. And it's something that you really got to sit back and ponder and wonder, how did nature get it so perfect? And just in that channeling that I did this morning, it does speak deeply to nature and figuring things out from that perception. And when you have a problem in life, standing back and just observing nature and watching, how does nature figure this out, and why does nature do things like this? You can apply that to your own life, and it can help you greatly. And what is nature? Nature is not in a hurry. That's one thing. And what do? We hurry, 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 rush, rush, rush to get somewhere, just to stand there and wait most of the time. Wherever we're going, we got to stand there and wait. Why do that? Slow down, enjoy things. Like, and that saying, stop and smell the roses. Well, roses give off a particular scent that actually helps the brain function. It helps you, it lifts your mood to a very high degree. And that's where that saying came from. Some wise person knew that the scent of roses is very important to our well-being. It brings us a sense of calm. It brings us a sense of pleasure. And when you're in that state, everything else around you, that's what's being reflected back to you. That's why it's important to find that state of being, because you're a song, and you're singing your song out there, and everything can hear it. And then things respond back, and they're going to respond back in the same way, in the same wavelength that you're sending out.
Looking at your conversation, Robbie was talking to the birds, and seems like they're more friendly lately, come closer. That's because your frequency. I think, again, most beings communicate telepathically. They read each other's signals. This is just the norm. We human beings on Earth in a Kali Yuga have not been the norm. We have not been normal at all. We've literally been like birds that had our wings clipped, and we can't fly. But we're meant to fly. When, again, you look at this, remember we were covering this? This is over at Mayon in the Philippines, where, it looks like a random asteroid hits behind the volcano. That's what I mean. Science will tell you, well, that was just a random asteroid. They might even say, well, maybe there's some sort of electromagnetism in play that literally is pulling it towards. But the reality is no. I mean, because we saw this come down, and then we saw something, an orb, something round, could have been a ship, head back off at a much slower pace. Like they had just delivered the payload that they were supposed to deliver, and now they're going to go home for lunch. I mean, again, order. And it's not always random. It's not chaos. They want us to think about that. They want us to think, again, why is the weather so unpredictable? Oh, that's just the very nature of weather. I don't think so. And then I'm probably going to lose people on there. Because, again, this is when we start to touch on these things. I think, again, we are watching a symphony of orchestrated destruction, a symphony of scarcity. It's orchestrated. Everything that we're seeing, all these problems, they're cultivated. There's no cures really ever being offered by a system that thrives on chaos and maintaining control through that.
No, you can never get well by going to a place that is only feeding off of you being sick. So it makes it really hard. And we're in a time now where you working on yourself is the best thing you can do. Getting to know yourself, understanding your body, realizing, what you are capable of, and just doing your best to take care of yourself and do all the things that is important to feed and nourish your temple, and learning how the body functions. That's so important right now, because we're not going to find healing outside of where we're at, not with the system that's in place right now.
Susan says, before Babylon, we communicated via telepathy. They'll tell us that, like, about 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, all of a sudden, these city-states over there in the Fertile Crescent popped up, and those were the oldest cities on the planet. I don't think they were the oldest cities. I mean, I think right away, we just live differently. But they want to, again, always say everything starts with Sumer. I don't think so. I mean, that was the start of this, meaning the dark control matrix that gave us our politics, created religions, and gave us everything to do with the money systems and taxation, et cetera, et cetera. I think we lived very, very differently before all that came into place. Whether we lost the ability to communicate telepathically, at that point, or back around the Younger Dryas period, or maybe even farther back, I don't know. I don't know clearly, but I know it's been a while. It's been a while, but it hasn't been that long at the same time, and we are already being triggered by nature into reconnecting a lot of the DNA that they say is junk DNA that's been turned off. It's being turned on naturally. And this is also causing the system to panic because, right now, I don't know, what is it? 20-30% of us that are awake and can read energy, can sense energy, can literally see people's auras, I'm not sure what the percentage is, but I know it's growing.
Yeah, people's abilities are coming out of the woodwork, but with that does come the need to really stay grounded and be responsible for your body and take really good care of your body, because when you're able to take in extra frequency, extra energy, it's best, the clearer your temple can be, the easier you're going to be able to process all those frequencies. Because think of tentacles, like octopus has all these tentacles, and those tentacles reach out and it touches something, and the tentacles kind of recoil, but that's how it communicates with the world around it. And you are gaining new tentacles, and these tentacles are very sensitive. So when they reach out and touch a new frequency that might feel uncomfortable, ouch, that hurts sometimes, and it takes you a minute to process. So I think many people are touching things, frequencies that might be a little bit painful, and they might not like it, might be uncomfortable. You might not know where it's coming from. But that's why it's so important to stay grounded, because as long as you're grounded, you can handle that thing and just move on.
And it's great to see the love out there between all you guys. I think you're all the best. You're definitely the most amazing family I know of here on YT, but I'm sure I'm biased, of course. This is, my little rosy glasses I got on. Here you go. This is Tulsi Gabbard, serving as the 8th Director of National Intelligence. Now, as we know, she's moving on. If I'm remembering correctly, I think it was her husband that has some health issues. God, there's so many people with health issues who want to send prayers and best wishes and attention, positive energy. Cindy was feeling horrible yesterday, and we let Wayne know we had to postpone going on with Wayne. And literally, Wayne mentioned it was the first thing he did in his live was mention that. And I know a lot of you guys sent energy, and literally within an hour, she was starting to feel better.
Oh, it was great. Thank you so much. The power of prayer. And I think we need to do a video on that with prayer and healing of that nature, because it's very, very important, and we are able to do more now. And we did get positive information back for Grace. And I don't know if we mentioned it on this channel. I just want to clear up. Grace is not Trina's daughter. Grace, they're friends. They're friends. So I don't know how that got mixed up, but I thought I heard it, saw it, something. That's how it came out. But they're friends. Grace is a moderator over on Wayne's channel. But after we did those prayers, you guys, and the dings, she responded. She responded, and now she's going to be going to a place where they're going to be testing the effects of ivermectin on the brain, because somebody had mentioned, why don't we just try ivermectin? And they're like, no, can't do that. And then lo and behold, not very much longer later, well, okay, there's a phone call made, and now she's invited somewhere where they can do these tests. So the very positive results, you guys, keep going. And with that said, we are starting a prayer wall. Robbie put it up. He's going to be helping me moderate it. I really don't know that much about YouTube, but we're going to get together here real soon and figure out that prayer wall and how it's going to function. So thank you.
Yes. Oh, we have our ER Karma Doc in the house. She just got to her place in Austin, Texas. Wonderful. You know, when you're in Austin, maybe someday we'll be able to come and shoot by there. It'd be fun. Okay. Or we could come visit you up in Michigan at some point in time. That would be wonderful. Like later summer, be beautiful. Of course, I'm daydreaming of getting out on the road. I love being on the road, and I know Cindy does too. We have a good time when we travel together. So anyway, back to Tulsi. She's releasing never-before-seen intelligence revealing new evidence of past U.S. government funding for more than 120 biolabs in over 30 countries, including Ukraine. I think a lot of us in this chat right now understand what Ukraine's been used for. And just think about this. When you have a wartime situation and like a martial law type of condition, it covers up a million things. It makes it impossible to, check on certain things. It's such a cover for so many different things that could happen, and some of them very, very nefarious and diabolical. And so she goes on in support of President Trump's executive order to end the federal funding of dangerous gain-of-function research around the world and increase transparency and accountability. ODNI will continue working with partners across the administration to identify where the labs are, what pathogens they contain, and what research is being done. Well, there's a lot of info out there they should really look at, that so many people that are called conspiracy theorists, which just means you're ahead of the curve, understand, because tons of people have done research and have put together what takes the government forever, if ever, to come to the same conclusion with. Most of our conclusions get verified one after another, after another, after another. As I like to say, show me a conspiracy that's been disproven completely. And they'll say, well, that has been debunked, this has been debunked. But the debunking is what ends up being disproven later on, because, again, people are getting more perceptive. It just goes back to the awakening of consciousness. This is why there's been fluoride in the water. It's been intentional. They got to keep everybody dumbed down, literally. And they have been doing as much as they can for that reason. This is MJ Truth talking about sleepers activated. Today, Tulsi Gabbard declassified a Moab, proving the U.S. government funded dangerous gains of function biolabs in Ukraine. Now police are responding to an active shooter event in Midland, Texas. Why is it we always see when something big comes in, there's a mass shooting? It seems to be a pattern. Yeah, I think it's a pattern, don't you guys?
Looks like a pattern. Smells like a pattern. It is a pattern. And But who's creating that pattern, I think, is the question. And like, where do I file my report? Because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of just the destruction, all destruction and no help for humanity. Things do not need to be the way they are. Things don't need to be so hard. We don't need to be so sick. You know, we just don't. It's just so unnecessary.
You know, this is the thing. You know, you have some things being done by Trump and RFK and others that are, you know, will applaud and say, this is good. You're finally going to admit to some of these things. It is happening. But at the same time, none of us want to see what's going on, what went on in Gaza, which is still going on. None of us want to see Lebanon being shelled, you know, like crazy. We don't need an Iranian war. Iran, I think if we took a survey, probably 90-something% of the people would say Iran was never going to nuke anybody. You know, we just don't think so. As much as they tell us what to think, we don't think so. I don't think it's really likely. So again, you do a couple things that are good, and no, we can't look away while you do some things that are horrible.
No, you can't.
It just doesn't work that way for anybody that has a conscience and anybody that has any sort of empathy and compassion for others that are suffering. So, you know, again, when people lash out about the migrant problem, and when you look at how people have lived in, how about Yemen? Yemen is, you know, I saw a great documentary done by one of these guys that goes all over the world to really feel what people are thinking in different situations. And he went to Yemen. Yemen's really impoverished. What did he find? He found kids playing and having a great life, believe it or not, despite a real lack of food, sanitary conditions, you know, medical facility. It goes on and on. But yet these kids were actually in some ways way healthier than kids here in the U.S. They were actually outside all day. They were playing ball, you know, doing all the normal things we used to do back in the 60s and 70s and 80s growing up that, you know, have eluded many in this world at this point. It's really sad. Yet they're making the best of it, and they have strong family and strong community ties, even though they've been in the middle of a civil war that's gone on for more than 10 years. And literally, there are hundreds of thousands of people facing famine conditions, but they're persevering. You know, so again, when we look to places like that, Afghanistan, Iraq with two big wars, you know, Afghanistan had 50 plus years of either, you know, Soviet Union, us, or Russia there. It's just, you know, this just has to change, and people are going to be becoming more empathetic. Compassion is going to grow. You know, this is part of getting out of a Kali Yuga. But here you go. Tulsi has retracted intelligence community reports on mysterious health problems known as the Havana syndrome. Havana syndrome, in my mind, it's already been defined that it is a directed energy weapon attack. That's what it is in my mind. And do you guys agree?
Oh, I think so.
So here she is now retracting. She found that intelligence community assessments of the anomalous health incidents released in 2023 and 2025 failed to meet the community's analytic standards that include selectively excluding intelligence and evidence that did not support the conclusions and relying on an ethically flawed medical study without noting methodological critiques. Okay, so the 2023 assessment concluded it was very unlikely that a foreign adversary was behind the incidents, which have impacted staffers in countries like Cuba and China. The updated assessment, released in 2025, said most intelligence agencies still held it was very unlikely an enemy was responsible for the syndrome, But two components judged there was a roughly even chance that a foreign actor used a novel weapon to target Americans or had developed such a weapon. Gabbard's team said future assessments on the matter would adhere to rigorous ethical standards, incorporating all available intelligence resources and engaging a broad range of experts from agencies, including the CIA. Representative Rick Crawford from Arkansas, Republican, former chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence CIA subcommittee, who has criticized the government reports, praised the new development. The assessment was deliberately manufactured and used to discredit some of our nation's bravest and impede their access to medical care. As was the case with other high-visibility intelligence assessment, fell far short of analytic integrity standards. He added the retractions were a glimmer of hope for our nation's intelligence officers, service members, and diplomats stationed around the world who have defended the country in austere locations and subsequently had the nation they served turn its back on them. The subcommittee said in 2024 report it was increasingly likely that a foreign adversary was behind some number of reported health problems, and the 2023 assessment was developed in a manner inconsistent with analytic integrity and thoroughness. So I think, again, what they're afraid of doing is allowing too many people to know of things like some directed energy weapons, microwave weapons. Microwave weapons. They have been used time and time again. Oh, by the way, the suspect in the Midland, Texas mass shooting, which left 11 victims reported, at least one person dead, has been reported killed again. So, when you look at things, there's declassified documents. We've seen all sorts of declassified documents that give you the picture that, there are, certainly in the U.S. military, and many of the Black Ops programs that have existed, exotic weapons programs that would be very, very hard to classify. The U.S. certainly has, a lot of directed energy weapons of varying types. You would think that Russia and China probably do as well, maybe many other countries as well.
Oh yeah, going back with the weapons, the microwave weapons, things. I think there's a new level of targeting out there when it comes to our starseeds and light workers, and I know someone with this absolutely beautiful, beautiful dog, a guardian dog, and normally they're out there and they're watching the flock, and he's a very, very good dog. He's so smart. If a little calf decides to wander down the road, he runs right down there and he just stands in front of that calf until the calf goes back home. And he's just like that with the whole farm, all the farm animals. And then one night, not too long ago, this pup pushed. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Crypto Geezer. He says, you two work so hard and well together. Oh, who doesn't love you? Well, we love you too. Thank you so much. Namaste. Thank you. This person's pup is was trying to push the door to get inside, and you guys know, if you know guardian dogs, they don't want to be inside. They live and breathe to be outside with their flock. That's just where their heart is. And it was that very same night that she came into the bedroom and she started a big ruckus with Rama and Sassy because she wanted on Mike's side of the bed too. So she started a fight with them, and that's just not like her. It was the very same night then this other person's dog was trying to push her way in. And I hear a lot of people's pets are just not acting normal. So I think these energy weapons, honestly, I think they could very well be coming through more and more through our phones and our tablets and just kind of anywhere and everywhere. It's a different world out there, and I don't think we can really dismiss things super easily anymore.
And it's great to see you all communicating so well, because we just love you guys, and it's great when the family gets closer together, and things like maybe, maybe Karma Doc will visit Jen and the birds sometime on her trips. That would be so cool. Yeah, so cool. You know, there's so much that's been hidden from us. And there's so much that just defies logic. If the world situation was truly what they tell us, if it truly, truly was.
Thank you, Karma Doc. Yes, I mean that was rough and really weird. But thank you so much. It really helps. And yeah, I do think things are going to a new level. And a lot of times when one thing happens to one soul stream member, it happens to others. I've seen that so often doing what I do. If someone has a really horrible night's sleep, well, sure enough, someone in that soul stream also had a horrible night's sleep. And it's not just limited to like one or two people. A lot of times it's 5 or 6 or 7 people had the same horrible night's sleep. How much of that is always a coincidence? I don't know.
This study finds 3,625 high containment biolabs worldwide. 73% hide their locations and their pathogen activities. Over 309 confirmed lab leaks have occurred since 2001. State-sponsored bioterrorism must be shut down, and all modified pathogens must be destroyed. I agree. This should be as outlawed as nuclear weapons, because when you look at it, these get used often. There's no way any government should be allowed to take something that's in nature and make it worse, to make it more pathogenic, to make it deadlier. That's just insane. And again, they justify so much by having us divided into these countries and then getting us to think our country is the only one that does everything right. Well, it's pretty obvious. All the countries have been pretty corrupt, and that's the big reveal. Which one's the most corrupt? Well, I mean, I guess maybe we have to not look into pointing fingers elsewhere. Like here, you're brought up to look at the communist threat, and then over in those countries, you're looking at the big Satan, the U.S. The reality is, it's the average people everywhere that suffer when we get pitted against each other, and when they're taking money that's taken from us by force with the taxes. And they're putting it into things like this, gain of function research. I'd like to see those people on trial. I would like to see those people tried for crimes against humanity and nature itself. Because why would you ever take something and make it more deadly? These governments, these governments compete with each other to be the top government, the top dog. They're really not much different than a cartel or the mafia.
Oh, no. It's not different at all. And in fact, I think they know of each other. And anytime there's any kind of, what do you call it? Gosh, I'm losing my words right now. But it's definitely, they're all one and the same. They're just like the same thing, different names. And one thing that the CIA does not like is competition. So if somebody is just doing their job too well, they'll make sure they get in there and take care of that and set up something else where they know that they can be top dog, but they're still going to do the thing. And I guess I'm afraid to be super blunt about how I see how everything works. We're already in enough trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Loretta Enigma, I definitely have extra chickens. I'm currently hatching too many. Anybody in West Virginia can have some free. Well, that is a blessing. And thank you so much, Bob. Thank you for your support. It really means a lot to us. We really we live very simply. Very simply. I mean, maybe we got it from our parents. But yeah, we are not extravagant people. We're just people that like to live in tune with nature. And we love nature. We appreciate nature. And so, whether it's something that could be released on humans or whether it's something that's released, again, out there in avian flu, all that bird flu, and they're culling, they're killing chickens, they're killing turkey, they're killing ducks left and right by the thousand. I hate all that. That really makes me sick and nauseous, and it definitely gets me angry because I just feel like when you look at nature, in so many ways, you're finding much more innocent souls. But there is a little mischief in every soul. We have to keep that in mind, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, former British military intelligence agent, they can track you everywhere, even with streetlights. Literally using streetlights to track us. Barrier Trower, former British military intelligence agent, microwave warfare expert, reveals there exists a system called SEDA. It's been in use for about 10 years. Streetlights, traffic signs, and towers contain hidden transmitters. Once they lock onto you, the system tracks you from transmitter to transmitter. It ignores buildings, only follows your movement. If they want, they can also send you a microwave beam right into the body. It's like radar, but with microwaves. This reminds me of Skinwalker Ranch. And if you've never seen Skinwalker Ranch, it's on Amazon Prime and the History Channel. Probably some are on YouTube too, some of the episodes. It's great. It's great stuff. It's fascinating stuff. We gobble it up. I guess Cindy and I, we could be very happy doing paranormal investigations all day, every day. And I did share with you guys, I was part of a group that was, besides me, I was the only civilian. Everybody else was military stationed at Fort Jackson in the Columbia area, South Carolina. These guys were literally advertising for somebody with some intuitive abilities and paranormal knowledge. And so, here I am. And it was fun. It was a blast. It was really, some of the most interesting times I've had. Very cool. Very cool. They were very open-minded too. But the reality is, again, that we're never alone. There's so many beings right where you are. It's again a radio channel. It's just like turning the dial and you go from one reality to another. Reality is layered on top of itself. So we might talk about 8 billion people on planet Earth. But when you look at, well, how many people are there on planet Earth, or beings we could qualify as being of our level of intelligence and maybe scientific knowledge or higher? I mean, that number could be astronomical when you start looking at the different dimensions.
Oh, it's just wild out there, the possibilities.
Yeah, I see Mama Jan is in the house.
Mama Jen's.
Yeah, she was given an immediate vision of a wraith cutting across your mid-torso, Cindy, cutting a line in your aura. Make sure your aura is sealed tonight.
Okay.
Wow. We've had those type of attacks. And we have a Como Kaneko signing too. Much love, brother. Mama Jan, we love you and appreciate you too. Yeah, no, we have experienced many direct attacks. We've experienced, I'm sure, some of these energies that they talk about, and then other beings as well. I think a lot of people have been attacked without having a clear understanding of what's happening.
Oh yeah, and, it's one of those things, and thank you for that, Mama Jan. I kind of feel like that's something that happened over the last few days. I was not well. I was not doing okay, but other people too, and I think that's what we're talking about with the whole soul stream. I think there's a particular way to target a specific frequency, and if if they go after that frequency, well, guess what? Several people are within that band of frequency and can also be affected. So I think that speaks for many. Just make sure your aura is zipped up tight tonight.
Okay, Dan. Our level of awareness. Yeah. I mean, though at the same time, I don't think humans are as aware, unfortunately, as many of the animals. I think there's a lot of other beings in the animal kingdom that are actually more aware of us. You know, have you guys ever seen one of those walking sticks? Because we had one out there last night. It was about 6, 7 inches long. It was on the chicken coop door and it just stayed there for hours. When you look at this, I mean, praying mantis, have you ever looked into the eyes of a praying mantis? These are very intelligent creatures. They're really intelligent. They're just in different bodies, have different things to work with.
Well, they all are. I was just talking with someone the other night about the insects, and they all have an intelligence, but doesn't it kind of feel like there's more intelligence there? Like, I remember walking into a house and there was a spider and he was kind of going down from the ceiling and he saw me and he stopped. So I turned around to grab a paper towel because I was going to move him. I wasn't going to squish him. I was going to move him. And I turned back to get him and the stinker was gone. It's like he waited for me to move my eyes away from him and he did that. And then I started looking closer at spiders because I was really impressed with that one. And it's like they're all doing it. It's like insects have gained a new level of consciousness, and humanity is no different. We have been on that ascension path, on the rise, and we're all just going to keep on going.
Yeah, so Lily Blade allows hers to free range, has a 10 by 20 kennel thing altogether. Yeah, we have come to the conclusion that we have 3 roosters, so
Maybe four.
maybe even 4.
Yeah,
So
somebody want to roo?
yeah, we're gonna probably have to allow them to free range. I'm formulating plans in my mind. We do have it's a short fence, but I could send juice in through the fence that is covering the entirety of the backyard. About 2 acres. I'll figure out something, but yeah, I do see us wanting to get more hens. Probably like another 5 or 6, maybe. I would say double what we have in hens. But the intelligence of them too. People might think they're not intelligent, but chickens are a blast. They are fun. They are interesting, and each one of them has a distinct personality. So, according to Thacker PD, the Gates Foundation has donated hundreds of millions of dollars to NIH in the last 25 years, allowing the billionaire to shape the direction of the country's health strategy in ways that benefit his own priorities and businesses. Yeah, absolutely. He's going through his trial, or, well, the hearings. And the reality is, certain people seem to be above the law, but maybe certain people aren't people like us, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a little odd that way.
Federal plague upon the land injury program rejects 98.5% of claims. Average payout only 4K. So says Plague Upon the Land cure injury advocate. That is not very, very, that's not good. That's not good at all. When you look at everything that has transpired, it's never too late to get accountability. This is Catherine Herridge, Emmy-winning investigative journalist, bringing up the tough issues. Go back through everything that we went through the last 6 years, right? 6.5 years since that craziness started. And, again, there were these mandates. Boy, they hated it. And, we got censored like crazy. We literally had our income taken from us by YT. They just totally demonetized us. I saw Paul Gold Eagle talking about his channel being demonetized just like a week ago. So it still is happening. It still is happening. We are able to talk more than we used to. That's for sure. It's heading in the right direction, but no, there is still so much to go. And you have Congress and the CDC just gave $1 billion to Pfizer. $1 billion. Look at these numbers. There's a record amount of people that are never going to do something ever again in their lives. Ever, ever, ever. And, people are understanding. I mean, you just simply, look at some of the comments, and people understand. They're just got to, well, they're still giving it to them. So there's still, in my mind, if you got product that nobody wants, and how many ends up being dumped, literally, where they bury them in some sort of, trash dump, or whether I hope they don't flush it anywhere. Because in my mind, again, there's a lot of stuff that shouldn't be out there able to make its way into our water, our food, and et cetera, et cetera. We know 11,000 politicians and L-ites received exemptions for what. This is one of them, who's no longer here now, out in the open, but has never really faced any consequences. This over here is this. It's just, again, there was a lot of people that opted out when other people were told they didn't have a choice. Oh, do you like working here? Yeah, well, then you have to. I have a hard time shutting up, and that can get you in trouble. But at the same time, I'm really, really grateful that there's other doctors out there that haven't shut up, like Dr. John Campbell here too, talking about all the numbers. We had one of our family members who's going through Big C, and I brought up this I word, Ivor, and he asked his doctor, and his doctor was like, no, I'm not going to have anything to do with it. And I said, well, if that was me, I would have had nothing to do with him moving forward. That's just me. That's just me, in my opinion. When these people think they have the right to make every decision for you, then they need to be out of your life. That's simple, to me, because that's control I'm not going to give to anybody.
Well, it was really disturbing because the doctor had told the person that there was no verifiable evidence that the Ivor would work for him. And that was just, yeah, as soon as we heard that, we're like, oh my gosh, don't walk, run. It was wrong.
But then we still have Wikipedias that say there's, no evidence of chemtrails, when obviously there is. It's been declassified. It's you even have military generals that admit to this, and then the system will still say there's no evidence. Grok will tell you there's no evidence. Chat will tell you there's no evidence. But there's tons of evidence.
Right. So there is a place in this world where being able to say there's no evidence that works, it behooves them. It helps them. It helps them along their path. It helps them make their money, and they can stand in a position of power and say, yeah, no, I haven't seen any way that'll work here, but buy my product. No, it's wrong.
So 40 laboratories across Ukraine that were making things like anthrax, Ebola, Marburg, Lassa, MERS, SARS, tuberculosis. Why would you ever make any of it? Well, so we could study it and understand it better so we could better fight it. I don't buy that. It just doesn't make any sort of logical sense to me, and they're going to sell you on that logic. But to me, that just sounds totally idiotic. But then I'm not a doctor. I haven't gone through the Rockefeller indoctrination program. So maybe that's why.
Maybe that's why.
But then we have people like Rosemary there. Now, she is a naturopath, and her neighbor is a shapeshifter. My dog knows who she is. So, the reality is that would have sounded crazy maybe 20 years ago. Maybe not quite as crazy about 5 years ago. But in 2026, that doesn't sound crazy at all because people are waking up to what's really going on.
Well, they are. We have people like Rosemary who practices everything under the sun, and we also have people like Karma Doc who she straddles. She has both feet, 1 foot here, 1 foot there, and she works with everything. And I think we need that. We need bridges. We definitely need bridges, and we need people to hang in there. And I know that it's really hard, and I've heard about the red tape, and I watch people struggle, and that worries me because that's going to drive out those really, really good people who truly want to help. It's going to drive them out of the business because they're just not going to be able to get anything done. And it's really not fair. And I know that day is coming, but that's the point. They want to drive out anyone who actually cares. And that's not really a world I want to live in. I want to try to manifest a better world.
Yes, absolutely. So Alice is Alivex. Fasting does help. Yeah, that's always the first thing to do. When animals don't feel right, they stop eating. They let their body do its thing. Let your immune system do its thing. Support your immune system. So it's the thing. It's like, well, it really does boil down to looking at it as germ theory or looking at it as terrain theory. The reality is, if the terrain is inhospitable to the invading pathogen, it's not going to thrive. So in the case of things like cancer and all, you don't want to feed it. Simple sugars feed it. And this is, one of the key things. Recognize what feeds it, starve it. And one of the things that you could do, absolutely doesn't cost you a dime, is fast. And fasting is amazing. Like we both did. Cindy was so good on her fast. We did 72-hour fast, and it was a complete immune system reboot. And I noticed things like everything just healing so much faster than it was. It washes away things like the chronic aches and pains. I've noticed that for decades. The first time I ever fasted, I was like 11. I was inspired by Yeshua, Jesus, and the Bible fasting, but I just went for, I think, 3 days, at that point in time. And most of the time in my life, it's been a 3 to 5 day fast. But I do think even like 36 hours is really beneficial. You want to get past like around the 16-hour area to really start to allow the cells that are going down a bad path to be cleaned out. Autophagy, it's key.
Mm-hmm. It is key. There's a lot to fasting, though. The way you break a fast is just as important as the fast itself. So we like Dr. Mindy Pels. She kind of goes over everything about fasting, especially for women, because a women's cycle, there's a better time to do a fast during your cycle and the how. And you also need to make sure you're not anemic. I mean, there's certain things you need to check, but when you can implement fasting, and anybody can implement fasting into their life properly, it's going to help.
And the world's food supply has been imperiled by the Iran war, fertilizer manufacturer Fertiglobe chief says. Yeah, this is, again, why did we have to do this at this point in time? Well, again, it's the bigger trigger here. There's other things always going on, and I forget who it was that said that his story probably started in Sumer, like the story part of history, where the narrative basically started there with the Sumerian city-states that popped out of nowhere. We'll send our prayers. This is Coffee Time with John and Mama. He was a YouTuber, not a big channel, 8.72 thousand subscribers. Very sad situation as he died after suffering medical episode live stream. This is I think that Jellicoe, Tennessee. I thought it was Tellico, Tennessee. But literally, while on a live stream, it just is so sad. You know, you get to know people and you feel their energy, and you recognize these are really nice people. These are good people. And 55 is young, and we've had so many sudden deaths, and we saw so many athletes dropping like flies. There's no reason for this. I really believe the human lifespan should be many times what it is, many, and I think we will. I would not doubt at all. If you have a young one that's like a year old, I wouldn't be surprised to see the child make it to like 200. I kid you not. I think that is just the beginning. So we do send prayers and our positive energy to John's family. Hopefully he's okay on the other side.
I believe so. It's just really sad and tragic to lose anyone who's putting out the good vibes. I mean, that's where we need that. We really, really need that. We need people putting out good vibes, and that's sad we lost one.
Yeah, again, the people that are out there just trying to help other people relate to things and just trying to make sense of life and all, and just trying to support each other. The internet could be a wonderful thing. It really could be. The technology doesn't have to be the way it is. We could even, if we had a different change in direction with the leadership of this world, man, we could just transform right into a golden age. I really think it's possible. I think that the only thing that's stopping that is just simply the very leadership of the world that we've been exposed to, and that are being exposed right now as being completely in service just to themselves.
I really believe so. If it weren't for the constraints of this world and people having to follow certain rules and do certain things, I think we would all get along pretty darn well. I think we would mesh together if there wasn't so much disruption and chaos and trauma. But, we're here to work through some things. We're here to work through trauma. We're here to work through all that and make the world a better place. So, here we are. We have the opportunity. We're all alive. We're breathing. We're walking. We all got out of bed this morning. So I guess be grateful for that one more day where we get to practice creating a better world.
And here you go. Yet another thing to not buy anymore if you are. We were just talking about little ones. Baby wipes full of forever chemicals. For the first time in history, baby wipes had tested positive for PFAS, those forever chemicals. The worst culprit? Kirkland baby wipes from Costco. Each wipe contains more than 25,000 times the legally allowed limit. And it's not even cotton, it's polyester, which is basically plastic spun into sheets, hot pressed, and then soaked in fluorocarbons, the same family of substances linked to cancer in humans. They're sold to you as gentle, safe, and perfect for the baby's delicate skin. In reality, you're getting a toxic plastic rag to wipe your kid's skin with multiple times a day. The worst part, over 60% of baby wipes on the market have been flagged as posing a PFAS risk. They told you it was hygiene, but in reality it's slow poison. This is what I mean. It's everywhere. Why did they choose to use these substances? Is it just simply profit? Because I think that's what most people will think. Oh, well, they're trying to get by using stuff that is effective but also cheap and profitable. But are there really some out there that are really more concerned with population control.
Yeah, you have to ask the question. This is so sad because I know it helps a lot of moms out. It really, really helps. But, you can get paper towels, and just what I would do, I mean, it's been eons. I haven't changed a diaper in 20 years. But when I did, if I was broke and didn't have the money, I could get a roll of paper towels, and I would just wet down the whole roll of paper towels and then just break it off like that. And then you're just water. Well, these days you do have to worry about the chemicals in the paper towels, but you can get paper towels that are made of like bamboo. So you could go that route. I know those are kind of expensive, but I guess the other alternative, if you can't afford the bamboo, just grab paper towels, wet it down, and there it is. If it's a really good lavender, maybe you can put a couple drops of lavender oil in there. It'd certainly be much better than the baby wipes. But yeah, I mean, the amount of poison that we're smearing all over our children. I didn't know. I mean, I loved Johnson and Johnson's. I loved giving my baby a bath, and they smelled so good with the Johnson's baby soap and the powder. I had no clue. Darn it. I just didn't know. But we're learning, we're here to learn together.
Polyester, the silent birth control nobody wants to talk about. So Lane Kilpatrick's studies prove wearing polyester caused 75% infertility. Wearing natural cotton and wool allowed 100% to conceive. Polyester isn't just cheap fabric, it's a powerful petroleum-based endocrine disruptor, weaponizing your hormones. It slashes estrogen and progesterone in women and tanks testosterone in men. These toxic synthetics generate electrostatic chaos that scrambles your body's natural electric field, turning your own cells against your fertility. Dr. Ahmad Shafiq's study, men wore polyester underwear daily. After an average of 140 days, every single one stopped producing sperm completely. Zero. Done. Reversible only after they switched to natural fibers. So 5 petroleum fabrics to avoid: polyester, acrylic, nylon, acetate, and spandex. Now, for life-giving natural fabrics that protect your fertility: organic cotton, linen, wool, and bamboo. I've come to love bamboo because it's usually a safe choice in whatever it is that you're looking at.
We do. We like bamboo. And yeah, it is a very difficult world. And looking at Jennifer in the chat, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I didn't know. I used all the things and I just loved it too. I loved how my kids would smell. And then I used the laundry soap too, the laundry soap for the clothes. So I did it all. I did everything really, really bad. But now when we know better, we do better. So maybe you can go to something like like the bamboo or something different. But at least now I mean, then you have a choice. I had no idea. I just had people giving me what they gave me a lot of times because I couldn't afford something else. And it's just a matter of learning, and when you know better, you do better.
Yeah, exactly. And we grew up with Heinz ketchup. I remember like maybe one time my mom bought a different brand, and it was like, don't ever do that. We gotta just have Heinz. And now, it contains bioengineered food ingredients. Now, I haven't bought Heinz for I don't know, 10, 20 years, I guess. When you look at it and they're putting in GMO high fructose corn syrup, which 92% of U.S. corn is bioengineered. And sugars from bioengineered sugarcane and sugar beets spike blood sugar, fuel inflammation, mess with hormones and gut health. There is a non-disclosed secret proprietary blend of natural flavors that's kept from public knowledge. And if you know about that one, you really know about that. You want to avoid that. So yeah, you could do homemade ketchup. Just basically organic tomato paste, third a cup apple cider vinegar, 2 to 3 tablespoons maple syrup or honey, a little salt, a little onion powder, garlic powder, a little bit of mustard powder, a little pinch of black pepper, maybe a little cayenne if you want it. I make my own barbecue sauce all the time, and you get used to it. And what I think you'll tend to find is that everything that we were used to back in the day, like Heinz, they taste super like sickeningly sweet and too salty. That's what happens. Your taste buds change, and if you did have this, it would just taste like crap to you after having good organic stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, in this world, and Mike does make a really, really good barbecue sauce. I swear, someday I would love to get him bottling it so we could send it out to you guys. And we do have a couple of birthdays coming up with Mike and Karmadoc. Their birthdays are like a day apart, and wouldn't it just be a blast if Karmadoc could stop by for both of their birthdays and Mike could make barbecue chicken? It would be so good.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Wink, wink there. Yeah. Look at these. Look at these. Again, so many UAPs, UFOs. There's so much. This is from the third batch of UFO files drop, but there's just so much coming out now. I think people are ready. I think we're ready. I think we're ready. But at the same time, we know there's a twist. Oh, we should probably do a video on the Disclosure Day movie. So, yeah, David Icke saw the movie over in the UK. And he says what they're trying to do is basically portray things from the point of view of the Greys, the aliens kind of being maybe taken advantage of by humans, or abused or neglected. It's from a sympathetic point of view. So there are many different species out there, and again, not all Greys are the same. Some are biological, some are hybrid, some are completely mechanical. There's many different species out there, but the ones that have been working with the controllers of the dark matrix, again, these are not nice beings.
Mm-hmm. No, they're definitely not nice beings at all. So there's that.
Yeah, and then we have this. This is, they say this has never been debunked, supposedly from a 2004 Ukrainian alien vitals test. They recorded its vitals on camera. The original file vanished, and the face movement has never been debunked. But I mean, if you've gone through Universal Studios, if you've gone to Disney, you've seen some pretty realistic looking things that weren't real. And then we recognize now. I mean, you got the robot dogs everywhere. How big a deal would it be to either create an AI video, or even to make something mechanical that looks real? But at the same time, I don't doubt that there are beings like this. I mean, I've seen a Grey up close and personal, and many of you guys have too. There's a lot of different life forms out there. Feel the energy. Feel the energy. That's the thing we need to do, is just feel into the energy.
Indeed.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff coming out. It's really an interesting time to be alive. And then here we have Trump meeting with some of the tall whites, I guess, from Nellis. It's interesting because when you listen to how they describe the tall whites, and Charles Hall has given us a lot of information on that, but there's been other people as well. They seem to be quite characters. They're very flamboyant, and I won't be surprised when Trump literally brings out maybe some tall whites, to literally meet us. I think it's coming. Maybe not Trump. Maybe it'll be J.D. Vance introducing some of his demon friends. I say that a little tongue in cheek there.
Indeed.
Curiouser and curiouser, guys. This right here, scientists discovered a hidden web of fungus beneath the Earth's surface, stretching for 110 quadrillion kilometers, enough to reach the sun nearly 1 billion times. The point is, as above, so below, as within, so without. There are realms on top of realms, layered on, on top of each other. You are your own universe. It's written, ye are gods. Do you guys think time is speeding up? Well, this article is saying that monks have understood that it's been speeding up since 1968. For centuries, the monks of Mount Athos have used the same candles to measure the time of their prayers. Nothing has changed. Same wax, same source, same ritual. In 1968, the candles would burn for 24 hours. Now, that same candle burns for 18 or 19 hours. So what's going on? Has time actually changed? I think it has.
I was just telling Mike the other day, I kind of wanted one of those, analog clocks, the round ones.
Yeah, an old-fashioned watch the second,
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everything has changed, and more people understand that we may be living in a simulation, a holographic projection of maybe a 2D reality.
Yes.
And Cindy's going to give us some dings, and we want to thank everybody again for your support. As always, Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my thoughts, words, acts, and deeds contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom of all beings. Yeah, again, beings might have enslaved humanity, but it's when we can forgive, because forgiveness is for us. At the same time, doesn't mean we have to forget, and we certainly aren't going to open ourselves up to being manipulated like we've been manipulated in the past. But absolutely, freedom and happiness for all. It should just simply be a given.
Okay, we want to say a special thank you to Crypto Geezer, Renee, and Bob. You guys, thank you so much. We do want to keep the prayers going for Lori and Steve and Grace and Carrie. We are going to have a community page. We're working on that now. Something's not functioning right on the community page, but we're going to fix it. We're going to work on it, but it is going to be going up, and I'll have some help with that. So, Robbie and Jen are probably going to be helping me, but we will have something. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not even sure our community page is working right, because we've always had trouble with it on YT, but we will figure out something. So here we go. You guys are the best. Source bless and namaste.
So much love and gratitude, guys. Namaste.